Hello and welcome to the first Saturday of the LCS Summer Split, where I have desperately needed some professional League of Legends infused into my weekly routine. Hello everyone, I'm James S. Patterson, excited to jump into the action with Neil Prali-Hamad, Alberto Crumbs-Rengifo, and Mark Zimmerman. Gentlemen, it's good to see your smiling faces. Mark, it's good to see your face. How we been? It's been a little bit.
It's good to be back on the desk, you know what I'm saying?
There it is. There's those teeth. Those pearly whites I was hoping for, Mark. Well, we kicked off the Summer Split just yesterday with a small taste of games, but we got a whole lot of road ahead of us, and I can't tell you, gents, how excited I am to finally be back in this seat with some competitive league ahead of me to watch.
Yep, I haven't cut my hair at all. I've been fully in quarantine mode, sitting in this exact seat, waiting for the season to start up again. I have not moved in 2 months.
Yeah, finding new and inventive ways to hide the ever-growing mass of hair on my head every day. But we do have a little bit of business that we got to take care of from last split before we can roll on into summer. Last split, we saw Cloud9 jump for joy as they earned their long-awaited LCS championship. But there were plenty of fans who decided to share in that delight from afar. So to give the C9 Nation a moment, here's a message from the fans.
I watched your guys' LCS games this past season, and holy crap, you guys dominated everyone.
Congratulations, Cloud9.
Congratulations, C9, on your successful spring split. We hope to see amazing stuff for summer.
I think your winning percentage record was better than when we played, so that's rude.
It might have taken them 6 or so years, but when Cloud9 does it, they do it in style.
I'm so proud of my boys. Congratulations.
Congrats on winning C9. Love from Greece.
Love from Middle East.
Congrats, my brother Miski.
Long time no see, guys. Congratulations on the big win.
I never lost faith. Good job, C9. 2020 is your year.
Hey Niski, it's Odo. I'm happy to see that you finally get to win your trophy. Even back in Splice, I saw what kind of a growth you had. It was something really that you only see in players that will achieve something great. I'm happy to see that you finally get to lift your trophy. I'm sad you didn't get to do it in Europe with us, but I'm happy you went over to NA and finally won it.
Yes! Yes, yes, yes!
Congrats, Cloud9. It's been a long time coming.
Hey, on behalf of everyone at DIG, wanted to congratulate Jack, Vulcan, and the whole Cloud9 organization on what's been an amazing spring split. You guys are deserved champions at the end of a storybook season. Great work on your part. We look forward to catching up with you guys in the summer split and making life just a little bit more difficult for you.
Yes, yes, yes! Let's go guys! You guys are legends!
Yo, congratulations on such a dominant season. Let's run it back next split. Pop off that world.
Congrats, C9.
Congratulations, Cloud9.
Congratulations to Cloud9.
Congratulations, C9.
Woo! Congratulations, Cloud9.
Congrats, Cloud9.
Congrats, Cloud9.
Congratulations, Cloud9, for winning the split. Again, finally.
A much-deserved championship, and whether we're in the LCS studio or here in the LCS Dome, winning an LCS championship means solidifying yourself a spot in the history of the league. So I present to you your Spring 2020 champions.
My goals at the start, my main goals was for the team to win LCS, so that's one check mark.
Cloud9 waited 6 years, and they will hoist the trophy again. For all 5 players, the first time in their careers, the Nexus falls, Licorice deals the killing blow, and Cloud9 win the 2020 LCS Spring Split.
I mean, the celebration that we had right after the game was, I didn't expect it to be that insane.
Vincent, our manager, came running with like this bowl of fake confetti he made, and he was like so excited, and I was really happy. It was a great moment.
I got a lot of talented players, and I never doubt my coaching skills or game understanding. So if mixed together, it has to be good, no?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all my fans, all the C9 fans for cheering for us, even though we haven't been winning.
Like this split in particular was like, it was like really crazy how many people were reaching out and being super supportive. So I want to say like, it really helps and it like actually does matter. So like, thank you for that.
All right, C9 fans, we fucking did it. The ones who still stuck around obviously loved us.
the ones who hated us and took off to TL, maybe now's a good time to come back. And maybe next time they'll have a little more faith when we lose the offseason again.
Next season though, or next year, we'll probably keep winning and we'll probably keep improve ourselves so we can able to like win 4 straight in a row or 5 or I don't know, 6. So yeah, we'll make that happen and see you guys in the other finals.
1, 2, 3,
A much-deserved banner reveal for this squad. Reaper there already looking ahead to future splits, predicting that the winning will continue for this organization. But gentlemen, I think that really is the question that remains, given the fact that we missed in international competition between spring and summer. There are a lot of questions about how dominant Cloud9 will look coming into the split and whether or not they can even eclipse what was an incredible spring performance.
I mean, with how dominant they were in spring, I feel like their advantage is just so large that they can just count on being at the top of the competition for this split and maybe even next year.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, normally you'll see a team who's like ahead a couple of weeks in the meta or something. I think it's pretty safe to say like Cloud9 is months and months ahead of any other team, and maybe the way Reaper's talking, he thinks that they're years ahead. I don't know if I'd go that far though.
All right, fair enough. Once again, congratulations to C9. We are going to go ahead and sunset Spring Split and look ahead. We're going to step away. Don't go anywhere. More Countdown after this. Welcome back to LCS Countdown. This offseason had a smattering of spicy roster moves, but perhaps the biggest one was TSM's pickup of their former championship bot laner. So to get a little refresher on his storied history in the LCS, here's Doublelift, oversimplified.
Doublelift made headlines with his move back to TSM, so we figured it's time to recap his prolific career to see how much you really know about one of NA's longest-serving pros. For starters, did you know Doublelift played on CLG for 4 years where their primary focus was just beating TSM? That all changed when they finally took down their rivals at Madison Square Garden and gave Peter his first trophy hoist. It also wouldn't be his last. In the spring of 2016, Doublelift flipped his allegiance and joined TSM. Together, TSM would win the Summer Championship before Doublelift hung up the mouse and keyboard to ride off into the streamer sunset. Before, coming back to help TL avoid relegations. Doublelift then rejoined TSM for one more trophy hoist before moving to Team Liquid, where they together would win 4 back-to-back championships, breaking the longest streak and giving him more championship titles than anyone else in the league. Did you know that? Well, did you know that he's made first All-Pro LCS team 5 times, was named 2018 Summer MVP, has racked up over 1,000 career kills, his favorite color is blue, he doesn't have a favorite movie because he doesn't have time to waste on that, and that he has piercing brown eyes that when they lock onto you make you feel like you're the only person in the world? Well, it's true. Well, this has been Doublelift, oversimplified, and everyone else is trash.
So hopefully we've got you all caught up on Doublelift's career, but roster spice levels can be subjective. So what I'm going to ask these 3 analysts here to do is to get their takes on some of the shakeups going into Week 1. Let's start with those moves made by TSM. Crumbs?
Well, I'm here going to show you what I think about the Doublelift move. If you can see, this is a pot of boiling water. I've been boiling this for years before, but just last split
for years
I just took it off the stove, so it's lukewarm right now. Nothing is going to harm you from this. So this is to me how hot the Doublelift trade is. The last split was not very impactful out of him, but they're looking to recapture what once was with him on TSM. So it'll be up to him and the rest of the team to see if he still has that fire in him.
Yeah, gas bill through the roof over there in Crumbs' place.
We're going electric. It's
2020.
2020 electric.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
And this right here, if you
Mark,
can see,
how do you reconcile that idea that you've got someone as big as Doublelift coming over to TSM, but off of one of his poorest splits in the LCS, alongside Spica returning to the roster, which frankly doesn't infuse a lot of confidence.
I think it's, Crumbs nailed it with the analogy there, especially because we've already seen Doublelift to TSM before, so it's not like, oh my god, totally new lineup for this roster. Like you said, it's not even like them all coming together at the heights of their power, like it kind of was when it was 2017, 2018, or 2016, 2017 TSM, excuse me. So I definitely agree. It's like, once was really a hot move, and now it's kind of just a meh.
All right, fair enough. Now it's just a meh. But there are high hopes for TSM because the last time he was on that roster, championships did go their way. We'll see if they return to that kind of dominance. Moving right along, FlyQuest, another team that didn't so much make roster moves as solidify a roster. Solo now definitively the starting top laner. Probably your take?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say there's a little bit of sizzle coming off of this move, even though it's technically not a move. The fact that they solidified it and they got him back, I actually think this is really great. So we got a little hothead action going on. He's flexing a bit, because I do think Solo has the potential to break into the top 3 of top laners. But the problem is we have these 2 extinguishers ready. So although he's not going to be the first or second best top laner, I still think this is going to be a pretty hot move.
The visual aids to boot is really what makes it there. So calling maybe a top 3 top laner in this one. We did see FlyQuest fall down yesterday in their rematch against Cloud9, but to some degree expected given that we think C9 is going to run the table here in summer. Mark, I'm coming to you because Immortals, well, all of it. What do you think?
Yeah, so I got for you 5 ice cubes. They're kind of melting already.
Oh, no.
But, you know, that was what I'd say the move is.
Does that mean you're warming to the idea of them? Because ice melting is due to heat. So, so Mark's really warming into this Immortals lineup.
Don't put words in my mouth. This is ice cold. I think there could be good reasons for these roster moves, but they haven't been provided. I've watched the Immortals videos where they've talked about it, and it's a lot of like, meh, we're synergy and stuff, and they're not willing to say this was what we think is the best lineup to win in week 1. You know, there's no strong statements behind it. So, like, if you can't be excited about the roster moves you're putting forward, I'm not going to be excited about them, and I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Even if there could be good reasons for making it, you didn't give me any. So until then, it's ice cold.
Fair enough. Crumbs, I want to get your opinion on Immortals, because Immortals in spring was that team that seemed to find wins out of nowhere, and we generally attributed them to the veteran players on their team and the ability to navigate from a macro sense or a strategic sense to find victories. But how does that, you know, old playstyle or the identity that we applied to them there translate into summer with these moves?
Well, I think what I see in the Immortals is that they're not giving a lot of time to any of these moves that they're going for, because when they came into spring, they were the team with the least amount of practice. So obviously they were going to go through a very stressful time when it came to playing on stage and recognizing that you're so far behind the teams that have spent the offseason boot camping. So they blow up the roster because the season is essentially what was their preseason practice, and now once again they're trying to recapture what synergies they think the entire roster can have. So I think it's going to be a really uphill battle for them, just because you're never giving these roster moves enough time to show us what they're made of. But like the video showed, we don't actually know anything about what their reasoning behind these moves are. So they might just know more than we do about these roster moves, and of course they do. They're the team itself.
Now, probably another move, or another team rather, that's trying to make moves and continue to rise through the standings is Golden Guardians. They announced the pickup of Demonte, and he'll be starting, as well as Huhi continuing to man that support position. So talk to me about this Golden Guardians move, particularly Demonte.
Yeah, so I really like this move. I would have to say it's a bit obvious, but I would say it's still pretty warm. So I wanted to depict GGS's management. This is a caveman finally discovering fire, because I think Demonte was so great in summer. I was surprised he didn't find a team, and Huhi as well, that he was a newly role swapped support player, and I thought in summer he actually showed up pretty well. So to not play them in spring I thought was pretty weird, and then now they're finally in summer. I think they rediscovered something they already knew. I mean, this is 2020. Being a caveman's not that impressive anymore.
I'm with you, though, 100% on having expected Demonte to find a team last split. Glad he has found one now. Excited to see him hit the rift here today. We are going to take a quick breather, but as we go to break, a titan of the League of Legends scene said farewell over in the LPL. So from a group of fans here on the LCS, here's our salute to Uzi.
Uzi is coming in from the backside. Surprise! Here comes the Vayne. Kill for White. Sun's not going to escape this one. They focus down Uzi, but look at him. He's still alive. He's still surviving. He stays alive. Ace!
JX's Starline's on the corner. Uzi lets it rip, and Uzi gets the kill. Now jumping on towards that mission, going to try and claim one up. Uzi grabs the double kill. Going to keep moving forward. Starline's dead. Oh my god, Uzi! Triple kill. He's down on the bell. But look at the fight. That's already a kill. Hansa is gone. Kicks on loose Gorilla, and it's Uzi that picks him up. The feathers are going back and forth to Shao, who dies. Uzi is the last man alive, but he's being chased down. Killer instinct flashes into the pit. How is he still alive? Uzi is doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready? Are you ready? Get ready, go. Get ready. Get ready. This be the green light, go. Tires burn the pavement. People want to know where Mace, Posse, and Dave went. Still here, still in your ear with a style so hot, you'll see where all the sun rays went. Legs on the head, all being moved in a frenzy. The blends be all the right cred, mean credential. Best of both worlds when we rocking over pearls and instrumental. Are you ready? Set, jump to the rhythm as hard as you can go. Steady, to the left, right, turn it up. We giving the show, but can you rock it like rocket fuel? Talking about space out your mind. Can you rock it like rocket fuel? Close it down, jump to the rhythm as hard as you can go. Steady, to the left, right.
Hello and welcome everyone to the LCS Summer Split. I am Freak. Kobe, are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown. Before we jump into the matches, though, I'd like to welcome back a beloved game by many who are not named Mark. The LCS stock market, that's right, we have returned with a fan favorite. For those of you new to the game, though, teams have an ELO system based on the roster's wins and losses. Now, the stats team does some magic math behind the scene. That gives us the prices for the teams. Then the analysts, they buy in or drop out on teams based on how they expect them to perform over the next 2 weeks. So 4 games of gameplay. Let's first take a look at who won the spring split. If I recall correctly, it's the man who abandoned us, Jack, up there at the top of the tables. But notably, every single analyst who took part in this game lost money over the course of spring split because y'all started with 5K.
Yeah, I think that's why Jat actually ended up leaving and going to TL. They pay fat stacks and need to make up his losses, I heard.
There it is. Steve helping him out on that one. The good news for all of you is that the money is reset going into summer. So each of you will start with $5,000, able to split those across whatever stocks you want. I think it would be a good idea for us to check in on stock prices as well as we head over to Crumbs to start talking about his picks.
Oh, yes. Now, when you look at the stock market, you got to compare it to real-life stock market trading, and you want to buy low, people. CLG is the cheapest of the stocks. It is $385 per share. It is amazing of a deal right now because we haven't even seen them play. And if that's not enough to convince you, look at the schedule that this team has. It is so fantastic. It is easy, right? Maybe you lose against Evil Geniuses. They already won 1 game. But the rest of the 3 teams, these are the teams that were at the bottom of the barrel last split. These teams did not do a whole lot, and they blew up the roster as well. CLG stayed together, so if anything, it should be a greater advantage for them now that they had Poe Belcher to practice with for a long time. So I think that CLG is just going to cash in money, and I can't wait to win Spring Split already.
Wow, that's a lot of confidence coming out of Crumbs there, putting all of his weight behind a CLG that struggled in spring, but saying, hey, nowhere to go but up. Probably, what are you thinking?
Well, when we're talking about short-term stocks, we don't want to buy the volatile stocks, especially in the beginning of the split where we don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to bet on a more for sure thing. We got FlyQuest and TL. I think FlyQuest didn't make any big roster changes other than the solo keep, and I think they have a really high chance of maybe going 75% in the next 2 weeks. And TL, on the other hand, I think they're very low right now. I think they can only go up. So very safe, very stable stocks that they should pay off pretty well, more than this little Crumbs buy low kind of thing.
Oh. Interesting. A little bit more diversification here from Prowley and putting some weight behind a FlyQuest that he thinks will only get better even after suffering that loss just yesterday. Mark, I'm coming to you next, and I got to be honest, I am polling for you in this split. There's definitely some host bias here. What do you got for me?
I mean, I win enough of the other games that, it's fine to lose the stock market. For me, I'm going a lot of TSM and TL. I know they're playing each other today, but after that is where I'm looking. And this also kind of averages out whatever loss I might face today. C9's a safe bet. I think both TL and TSM were relatively cheap, and I expect them to do pretty well, actually, this split. When we were doing the dive power rankings, everyone's fairly optimistic. Behind the scenes, things haven't sounded great for TSM so far, but I'm hoping that's just some scrim problems, and on stage they're able to perform a little bit better. So I have a lot of confidence in them. Their schedules aren't super hard at the start. It is a bunch of those kind of fringy playoff teams.
All right, hedging his bets with that TL and TSM pickup, and then the sure thing with the 1C9 stock to close it all out. That's going to lead us to our games today, where EG and CLG will kick things off with Immortals versus FlyQuest and Golden Guardians versus Dignitas later in the day. Now, make sure you join us all weekend, because after Sunday's games, we've got the Bud Light League Lounge, where we'll kick back and review the first week of action. That's always a fun one. Oh, my goodness, they chose the game show photo. They chose the game show photo. I missed that.
Get the glitter.
It's a good suit.
I know. I'm going to have to get that from the studio, shipped to my house, so that I can wear it later in the split, perhaps. With that, though, let's move right along. I am conveniently left out, potentially the most hyped matchup going into today, and that would be Game 2, where, as you mentioned, Mark Doublelift puts back on his TSM jersey and faces off against his former squad in Team Liquid. Let's talk about this one.
I mean, this is the hypest matchup we're going to get today. It's another revenge tour for Doublelift, but especially a spicy one, I think, with how the departure happened. It was not really on amicable terms. He sounded resentful of some of the coaching staff. Sounds like the team was not, hyped at each other. And Doublelift has a lot to prove after finishing 9th, which was honestly an embarrassment for the entire organization of Team Liquid. And TSM has not been faring that much better since his departure either. So both these teams are super hungry to turn things around.
Yeah, so probably I'll come to you. TSM, with Doublelift returning, there are, glimmers of that old identity, that they had. But as Meteos is in the position of Speaker here.
Speaker looks different.
It's a very interesting looking Speaker, my friend. But probably with there being kind of this idea of identity from the last time Doublelift was on the roster, but given that we are a couple years removed, where do you expect this team to go? How do you expect them to mesh together?
Well, honestly, I feel like the identity won't be too big of an issue going forward. I think in the beginning, obviously, it's a new team, and their coaching structure was really delayed announcements. So I'm curious to see how long it's going to take them. But in spring, their identity wasn't that strong. They kind of played around top, but they didn't have a for sure way to win every single game. They're very inconsistent. So I think coming into summer, Doublelift wants it to be about him, for sure. I don't think he's changed that much as a person. So I think he's going to be able to go in there and say, hey, let's start playing around bot. And I don't think they have any power to be nah, it's not going to work that way. So I do believe this is going to be a Doublelift focused team.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, go ahead,
but I feel like when you also have a new jungler that only had 3 games on the main roster on Sejuani duty, that's just going to tear the team apart, because you were ideally playing to the top side towards the end of the split, and Broken Blade was getting a lot of attention there, and it worked really well. But now you're going to put Doublelift back on the horse when it comes to just commanding the team, and that's what happens in every team that Doublelift is on. You win, but you have to play to that lane. So I think that Speaker is going to have a really hard time figuring out which lane to go to, and that might be the big issue for TSM.
Now, I had the Magic Stats team that we've got behind the scenes do a little bit of digging for me for a somewhat obscure stat. But essentially, I asked them, what was Doublelift's record in the first game of the season against the team that he had previously left? And the only time he has lost to his former team in the first game of the split that he plays them is leaving that 2015 CLG roster and moving to TSM, where he then lost. But since then, he has won every first matchup against his former team that he has left, which indicates TSM is looking at a victory here today.
Well, he did go to TSM that time, too, when he did lose.
That is
maybe,
true. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's an interesting stat, but
Right, if you're a superstitious person, you tell me which side of the coin you land on. Only time will tell. And while we talk about TSM and this big pickup, we have to talk about now the void that is being left on Team Liquid. So, Mark, I'm going to come right back to you. The identity of Team Liquid without Doublelift.
Yeah, I think this is a big problem for Jat and the rest of the team to kind of figure out, with Doublelift, probably talked about being such a key focus of whatever team he's on. He's gone now, Tactical stepping in. Probably easier to mold him to whatever your team playstyle is. And I think myself and a lot of people are looking towards Broxah and Jensen. One of the key things about bringing Broxah in was a more explosive mid-jungle synergy combination. Didn't manifest last split, and now you really actually need to make that work because you don't have Doublelift as the fallback plan anymore.
Yeah, Crumbs, throughout Spring Split, criticism was levied pretty much across the board at Team Liquid members, but if there was one person who escaped it more than others, it seemed to be Jensen. People saying that he seemed to be putting up a somewhat solid performance throughout the entirety of Spring. Do you expect him to kind of fill that star role that Doublelift is leaving?
Yeah, when you see just the fire that Team Liquid was under, and the fact that Jensen was still performing is a really good sign for a player that is still just very competent. It's not going to have his play be affected by what's happening with the rest of the team. And he's Danish, paired up with a Danish jungler with Broxa that really showed us a lot of very impressive plays towards the end of the game, of the split. When they faced against Cloud9, that Team Liquid roster's firepower will still be there despite Doublelift not being on the roster, right? You can have Tactical still be playing just regular marksman. It's not going to be that necessary. The rest of the team can just revolve around the solo lanes, and it'll have to be Jensen just taking a more vocal role, but he's already gotten a championship under his belt. If this is not what he recognizes, what he needs to do to win the game and become just that much stronger of a mid laner, then I don't know what he's thinking, because it seems very clear from everyone that's looking at this new TL.
And probably I'm coming to you on the coaching front, because while they did lose Doublelift, they picked up a Jat. 5 weeks into his stint as head coach, maybe you can just talk through a little bit of what that transition is like, becoming a first-time coach, and only having 5 weeks of time to whip this team into shape.
Yeah, see, I had like the added benefit of the team that I was on was full of rookies. So Jat's actual job is much harder than I did when I was jumping into the coaching role, because now he's dealing with a whole bunch of veterans who have had success, who have been on this team for years. So he's going to have to find his like spot on the team where he needs to apply pressure and where he needs to help players. But the good thing is he does have Tactical joining him. So I think his influence on Tactical is going to be really great, since he's very knowledgeable about the game in general. And the fact that they just did so poorly in Spring, I'm not sure that there's going to be much pushback from the players when it comes to like what's our direction for Summer and like how are we actually going to start this out. So I think it's a much different beast than I had to deal with, but I think he's up to the task.
All right, well, I think he's up to the task as well, but it's up to him and the players to prove it. Quick predictions from you guys, that second game of the day, since it is such a hot topic. Let's go down the line, so probably right back to you.
I'm going to say TL. I'm on Team Jet for right now. I don't think TSM's got it yet. I do think their peak's higher, but for now, I think it's TL.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
all
wow.
of us TL. Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling TL as well, and mostly because you've got veterans. You've got so many veterans. It's going to be, I think, a bit easier to manage that versus TSM, that I think will have a little bit of a harder time adjusting themselves to these new lineup changes. Doublelift was not the best AD in the league, right? Is he just going to have that drop-off and then suddenly just go back to form? I think it'll take a little bit more time.
Mark, anything to add?
Only preseason rumors that TSM was not looking so hot in scrims, so that's why I'm going TL.
Okay, interestingly enough, all three going for TL, but only time will tell. That's our second game of the day. There's nothing left for us to do here on the countdown, but hand it off to freaking Kobe for Evil Geniuses versus CLG.